one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
The downfall began the moment Rachel Zegler hit record. What was meant to be a heartfelt message quickly spiraled into a full-blown emotional meltdown. Tear-streaked, defensive, and visibly shaken, Rachel told the world she was still proud of her work, but the internet wasn't having it.
I win. The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
But the internet...
Instead of sympathy, Rachel faced a wave of ridicule. The video went viral, not as a statement of strength, but as proof that she was cracking under pressure. Mockery replaced empathy, and the backlash hit harder than ever.
Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Within hours, hashtags like Moner Snow White Flop and ZEGLER MELTDOWN were trending. TikToks, memes, and parodies flooded every platform. Rachel didn't just lose control of the narrative, she became the punchline.
Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
Disney's Snow White wasn't just a disappointment. It was a full-on bomb. Opening weekend numbers were catastrophic, pulling in only $45 million. That's less than half of what The Little Mermaid made, despite that film also being mired in controversy.
Snow White, budget $250 million, box office $43 million. Oh, but it's only been 2 days, give it a chance. No, I'm not gonna give it a chance. I'm not even talking about that number. It's like all the flops are unsurprising at this point. Something is going on behind the scenes with almost every major animation, video game, and movie studio. That they're doing this intentionally or something. I don't f***ing know. I'm not even gonna talk about this. People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
Audiences didn't just skip Snow White. They trashed it. The film dropped to a shocking 1.6 rating on IMDb, the lowest in the site's history. Critics blamed poor writing, fans blamed Zegler, and Disney was left scrambling for damage control.
I'm a narcissist. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. A lot of people will assume it's a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
I say, if I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
The original Snow White, calling it weird and outdated, laughing at the prince, and proudly declaring the remake would ditch romance. What Disney once painted as bold was now seen as disrespectful.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. Maybe you could save them for like your diary and your friends, but like maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down. And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow White and the prince and young love and women who want to get married and Steven Spielberg, the executive producer of her previous movie, and white people who she claims wanted to know if she was really a Latina on her first movie.
Disney fans, especially parents, revolted. This wasn't nostalgia. This was a lecture with glitter, as one viral TikTok put it. Instead of honoring a legacy, the remake rejected it, and viewers walked away in protest.
Hey guys, I watched Snow White, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Now, first things first, Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know. Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving the snowstorm. Her father and mother are king and queen to a utopian communist society. I'm not joking, guys. Everybody shares and is mindful of what each person is getting, and we spread our resources evenly, which is where this idea of fairness, as Snow White is the fairest of them all, is really presented in the film.
Backlash escalated into a political firestorm. Online threads and media outlets began accusing the film of communist undertones and pushing anti-tradition messages. Even co-star Gal Gadot publicly distanced herself. Separate arrivals, no joint interviews, and zero chemistry.
Welcome, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effect.
Now, studios are backing away. Rachel's once bright future is clouded with uncertainty. Roles are quietly being recast. Industry insiders are calling her a walking PR hazard. And the silence from fellow celebrities? Deafening. Hollywood's rising star has become its biggest cautionary tale.